Welcome back to this freshwater pump replacement project. It's been a couple of weeks now. Anyway, so I'm finally got the parts in. I got the gasket, new water pump, hose. I believe this is the intake. This is probably the outtake hose. Yeah, I think so. So this is the bigger one to replace this one. So I got all this together now, and I'm ready to install it. I've never done this. This is the first time ever for me to remove a water pump and install one on anything. Hopefully I will be successful. I don't think there's much to putting this together. Let's try and install this pump. Just got to clean up this flange over here just a little bit more. See a little bit of excess debris. Okay. Okay, so when I remove the pump, I make sure I close up all the holes, all the inlets and outlets within the pump. So there's an opening over here, there's this one over here, and there's this one over here. I'm not too concerned about this one. This one's going out, and not much going in. Nothing is going to go inside the system. Well, it can because it's circulating, but anyways, it'll be okay. Just to make sure the debris wouldn't go inside when I was cleaning this out. So now I got gasket sealer here. This is good for water pumps, high temperature. Okay, so right now I'm going to apply some gasket sealant on the flange of the pump body on the block side. There was gasket sealant in here before, because when I did take out the bolts, I could see there was some stuff on the bolts themselves, and the gasket was pretty well stuck on, and I did remove. The gasket sealant allows any imperfections on the flange here to be sealed so that there's no leaks. Okay. By the way, these are all Kubota original parts. This engine is a Kubota based block. I'll provide more information on that later on. It's going to go on like this. So this is our new pump here, and it is recommended that you get the steel impeller as opposed to the plastic ones. You can get some a cheaper pump with a plastic replacement, and we were able to source this out from a Kubota dealer in the Toronto area. Oh, like this, okay. The bolts for the pump are all the same. There's 5 bolts, and only one of them is really long, and I believe, I'm not sure which one it is. I think it's this one here. Okay, let me see. Yeah, so this is the long one. The pump is installed, the nuts are all, the bolts over here are all hand tightened. I'm just going with my socket ratchet wrench and tightening them all. Just tightening a little bit until they become difficult all the way around, so you have a nice even mounting, so everything was nice and flush. Wondering if I should have already installed this first. I got this. It's got space back here. It should be okay. Okay, should be able to put in the new hose. Well, no, it might be difficult. Okay, so I have to undo this one over here. Okay, it's probably a good idea to have, when you're installing the water pump, at least this hose, to have it already in place on the water pump, so that way it becomes a little bit easier to install over here. So I can take out this clamp over here, this bracket that's holding. This is a copper pipe, goes all the way back there, but there's movement over here. So if I take out this, if I remove this bracket over here, I think I can wiggle it so that the pipe goes inside this 90-degree elbow. I removed this bolt I was securing this bracket over here in place. And yeah, I'll be able to insert it that way. So just don't forget to put your hose clamps on. I'm reusing the old ones. They are in good condition. They're stainless steel. Okay, it's highly recommended you do everything in sequence. Start one task and complete it. So I was tightening down all the bolts on the water pump over here, and then I realized, oh, I should have installed the 90-degree elbow on the water pump. That way it'd be easier to insert it into the outtake pipe. So I stopped tightening these. I mean, they're all pretty tight, but now I'm going to go back and double check these, make sure they're all nice and tight. So I was trying to reattach this clamp over here, and I was noticing that the back side of this clamp, where it goes around the pipe over here, wasn't aligning with the hole. Like this one over here was, but the other one's sitting down. So I just flipped it over, and this here fell off. So this clamp broke. Clamp bracket. I don't know where I can get one of these. If I try and source one out right now, I don't know where I can go. Okay, so I just put the bolt back on. I mean, it broke. I'm going to see how this here is going to hold. Problem is, if I have to replace this here bracket, I pretty well have to. I have to disconnect this hose. I mean, it's pretty secured, so this pipe's not going to move, I don't think. I think it's going to be okay. It would have been better, yeah, it definitely would have been better to have the bracket go all the way around, because it was squeezing this pipe, so it's really securing the pipe. This is just supporting, keeping it from going down right now. It's not squeezing it in. This clamp, this bracket clamp, is actually tightening up the pipe and supporting it. Like I can just support it. I'm not tightening it, so it does have some capacity to move with vibrations. And we're trying to avoid that, because you don't want to damage you don't want to put fatigue on the holes over here, and then it's going to crack and you're going to have leaks. So I'm going to see if I can go to Home Depot and see if they have, I think they have brackets similar to this. See if they have something similar to this. It'd be ideally you want stainless steel. That might be a problem, but we'll see. I'll just go there quickly and see what happens. So this is the bracket. This is the piece that broke. So it's broken right there, and it could just support it just by having this one bolt through here. You know, give you support at the bottom. And this is stainless steel, so it's not going to something that's going to give away that easily. It'll probably last the lifetime of the boat and our lives. But I feel a bit more comfortable if I could indeed find another bracket that would actually grip the pipe. So once I bolt it into place, it's going to grip. It's going to really hold the pipe in place. So see you in about an hour. Okay, so I went to Home Depot, a hardware store, to see if I can find a clamp like this with the that would have a continuous loop with another hole for the bolt to go through, so that way it would grab the pipe and secure it in position. But I couldn't find anything. However, there is a number over here. I knew there was a number over here. I had already seen it, and there's a manufacturer. So we looked online, and I'm going to see if I can get another one. And actually, from looking at the online images of the clamp is actually designed a little differently. It does have a flat face on one side, and then the other side just loops in, and it comes from the manufacturer open. So that means I will be able to remove this one. I will have to use some force and whatever to try and get this one out, and install the other one. I think worst comes to worst, what I'll do is I guess I'll just have to drain out the antifreeze and remove this 90-degree angle piece of hose over here and install it. But for now, I'm going to use this one again, and I'll just keep an eye on it. I think it's been broken for a while, because I could see some rust stains on it at the break point. So it's been like this for a while. I don't think it's going to create any issues in terms of it not being a continuous loop bolted back on. I don't want to delay this any further. I gotta get this thing going. Given that this clamp over here did have a fracture, a break in it, and then I was going to reuse the old clamps, the old pipe clamps on the hose, but I decided to buy four new hose clamps, because there could be some fatigue in there that I inspected the clamps and they look okay, but there could be some fatigue in there, and I'm not sure, some metal fatigue that I can't really see. So for safety, we're just going to replace the hose clamps. Installing the old pipe support bracket. Now connecting the pipe to the 90-degree hose. You keep these clamps out of the way of the belt. I can see that there's the groove over here on the crank that comes right up. You don't want to put them in front of the belt. So you make sure you push them back enough so that they're out of the way. Try not to let them touch the block at the same time, so that vibrations don't start hitting it up there. You can always adjust this a little bit afterwards, after the belt is installed and everything. You just make sure everything clears. So for the installation of this, in hindsight, I didn't really look into the orientation of the 90 to see if it had to go one way or the other, but it looks okay. I can see the paint mark over here where the old hose used to reach up to. On this side there was no paint. Well, this side's a new pump body, so I really can't tell, but it's installed. And I can feel that the pipe comes all the way up to here, well beyond the clamp, and over here I can feel the pipe from the hose body coming all the way down to about here. So I got about a good ½ inch from where the hose clamp is right now. So I got good contact point for the hose clamp. You got to make sure you have the hose clamp on the pipe, so that way it stays nice and tight. Okay, so this is fairly secured. I gotta install this other hose. This is the new hose for the inlet into the pump. This is the old hose. I mean, the hose wasn't bad, but as long as I'm replacing the pump, just as well replace the hoses. I'm gonna put new clamps on it. Got my new connecting hose from the block onto the pump over here. This is the inlet, and I place the clamps on it. I just have to make sure that you orientate them in such a way that you'll be able to undo them after. put it in whichever way you want to. Make sure it's easy for you to take it off. So I'm going to be using a screwdriver because I don't have a socket that fits this bolt, this nut head over here. I'm going to use a screwdriver so I can see that I can access both of them. Now I'm going to insert it into, I don't know if I have open up wide. Gotta slip it down, making sure that the clamp is going to be grabbing on the pipe. Not easy to try, and I'm trying to push it down, making sure that the clamp goes over a section of the post coming out of the pump, and also the post coming out of the block over here. I'm going to make sure you're going to grab that post. You want to make sure that when you tighten your clamp, that you can feel the post coming up into the hose. So right now I'm just feeling just about here. I want to push the clamp down a little bit more. Probably would have been a good idea maybe to either even put some lubricant even inside the hose to slip it onto the posts a little bit easier, and even on the outside on the clamp to allow the clamp to slide down the hose a little bit better. Push the clamps down, make sure I have enough post to grab onto. So there is a little ridge over here, obviously on the posts. Both posts have a little ridge at the end of the post, and now I can see that I have a good 1/4 inch in. I can push it, and that was probably part of the difficulty, is getting over that ridge. So I am able to push the clamp down a little bit more now that I've gone over that ridge. So as you can see on the old pump, the pipe is a certain thickness close to the body, and there's a ridge, a notch out at the end of this pipe, of this post. So you want to make sure that your hose goes all the way down beyond this here. You want to put your clamp from this point over, so from this point over right here. So that way it's not going to slip out of this post. Okay, so I got the pipe in as far as I think, and it's pretty good. I can feel the post way over here. I'm going to tighten up the clamps, and I think that's pretty much it for connecting the water pump. Okay, so got the hoses in. I think they're pretty good. So you can see that this pipe on this side over here, it flexes a little bit. I don't think it's going to be an issue. Meanwhile, I'm going to order one of these brackets. Like I said before, just double check everything you've done so far. So far I've installed these 2 hoses, plus this hose, plus this. So I'm going to check the pump, obviously. I'm going to make sure that all the bolts over here on the pump are tight, that it did not. This is good. I don't know if there's a torque setting for these, to be honest. I could have. They're all just turning a little bit, like maybe 1/16, maybe 1/8 of a turn. Okay, so that's tight. The bolt that secures this bracket in place is good. The clamps for the outlet, I'm going to tighten them up a little bit more. Looks like it's got a little bit more. Okay, it's good. And okay, so this one over here is slipping already. Over tightening it. I have to keep an eye on this one, I guess. Nope. I don't like this anymore. Okay, so this is the old pump, and I was just noticing this now more than before. There's some staining happening over here, some metal degradation maybe, or even and a couple other spots. This is a combination of the, I think this here may have been caused by the leak, because the way this pump is installed, the way it's installed is installed like this. So when it's like this, there was water leaking through here. And we did have water stains coming down this way here, which would have been on this side of the pump when it's like that. There was some water stain coming along here, and that's probably where the water was coming from. Aside from the water leak, obviously the impeller, the bearing for the impeller over here was shot because there was a lot of movement. You can't feel it as much anymore. You can still do, but I don't think you'd be able to capture that on camera because my both hands are moving. And that's what really concerned me, was the movement on the impeller. That's why that drove me to change out this this water pump. So now this one's nice, but ready to install the pulley. And this is pretty simple, straightforward. Just goes there. I got my nuts over here, my bolts. Okay, so I'm basically making sure I tighten these 4 bolts properly. I'm just using a strap wrench to hold the pulley in place, otherwise it's going to keep turning on me. And I'm going to go and turn these always opposite to opposite. Now we get a nice flat, you got a nice contact. I really can't tighten it anymore. And now, actually, before I put it on the new belt, I want to make sure I clean up everything around here. I guess from the imbalance of the water pump over here, the belt was vibrating, and you can still see some black deposits over here, which is caused by the belt deteriorating. Which basically the friction was causing it to deteriorate. So I'm just going to clean up everything a little bit. Going forward, if I do start seeing some deposits, I know there's an issue, and I can look into it to see what I can do about it. I'm not sure if I'll be able to fix it myself, but I can look at. At least I can identify a condition there. So you can really see the deposits from the fragments of an alternator belt. That deposit over here on the crank. And it only happens on one side. I guess it's got to do the rotation. Probably rotates this way. And it collects on this side. There's a lot of dust over here and over here. So I'm just going to clean that out. What I can see on this belt, I'd always notice that there's one of these teeth over here. It is broken. But that's not the part that actually makes the contact with the pulleys. So it's actually the wall of the belt that actually makes the contact with the pulleys. But there is one of the teeth, actually more than one, 2 of them, or a little broken. And there's a couple of other ones over here. Now that I see it more on one side. Anyways, we have a new belt, and on it goes. So I was struggling a little bit because the belt over here on the crank was not in the groove of the crank pulley over here. No, I haven't tried yet, but let's see. I think I should be able to get it in now. Or not really. Or what? Alternator doesn't want to come over anymore. Still crank, still not going in easily. Just Okay, it went in a lot easier this way. So just put it around the alternator first and leave your water pump for last. It was very easy. Okay, so now I have to just make sure I can tighten this up enough. It's not going to do it. So now I have to tighten up the alternator adjustment bolt over here, along with, don't forget to, and I mustn't forget to tighten this one up once I tighten this one. You gotta use some sort of leverage to try and push it over to make sure. Okay, I'm just gonna push it in as much as I possibly can by hand and see what happens. Okay, so now the belt is on, and I just got to see how much play I have over here. I should have between 3/8 and ½ inch play, which is probably what I got over here right now. So just keep the tape steady in the middle of the belt, in the middle of the span. We've got a little, probably just around 3/8. I don't know if it's too tight. I wonder if it's too tight. It should be a little bit looser. We'll just keep it like this, see what happens. Prestone, heavy duty coolant, 50/50 premix. So that means I just pour it in and that's it. Okay, so I've changed out the water pump, the fresh water pump, and I put the new pump back on. I checked all the nuts, all the bolts, put on the belt. There was no coolant in there anyways, but I just passed fresh water through it, so I get rid of any residue of the coolant that was there. I did 3 passes on that, and so now I filled it up with new coolant, 50/50 mixture, pre-mixed. And now I'm pretty much ready to start the engine. I won't be able to start it just yet. I got to bleed the fuel lines because I also changed the 2 fuel filters. I changed the primary, or the water separator, and the secondary fuel filter. So during that process there was a lot of fuel that ran back from the lines, and I'm pretty sure there's going to be air in there. So I have a couple of bleed holes, so I'm going to have to see how I'm going to do this. I've never done this. The manual tells me that, how does it go? Let me take a break here. On the manual it tells me bleeding the fuel system. It will be necessary to bleed the fuel system to achieve a steady air-free flow of fuel if any of the following have occurred. So models M2-12, M2-12, which is our engine, it's an M2-12, M3-2 and M4-30 have self-bleeding fuel systems. I don't know what that means. Does that mean I don't have to worry about it, or does that mean I still have to worry about it? That gives me the impression that I wouldn't have to do any bleeding. But when I look at the engine layout, the engine diagram, I have a fuel bleed line on top of the secondary fuel filter, and they have another fuel bleed line over here by the injector pump. So, and I'm assuming I have to bleed some of that. So I know that I lost some fuel from the fuel injector to the secondary pump, because when I took it out, fuel was leaking out, and there was no fuel coming out of the primary. So, anyways, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the fuel valve at the tank and go upstairs and just turn on the fuel pump. Back here, the electric fuel pump, and I'm going to open up one of these bolts. I only see one over here on the secondary fuel filter, so we're going to do that. Well, I don't see any air bubbles. I don't know. Should I try starting it? This next step is try starting it. So after what, 4 weeks now since I've been working on this, changing the fuel filter, changing out the water pump, I changed the impeller on the raw water pump, turned it back on today, and she's running. So I think we're about ready to go sailing again.
If you're interested in following our sailing on Lake Ontario on our Catalina Capri 26 Odyssey, subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any episode. Thank you for watching. Much appreciated.